as long as the heart, the passion of the movement is there to understand who we are from our own perspective, you are someone who is doing Psikolohiya Pilipino. May ganun pala. And kailan lang yung na-discover? Last year. So, parang, wow! Wow! You realize, is there a theory of lambing? I'd just like to give a shout out then to one of our long time senior faculty, Dr. Roberto Javier.
Hello, everyone, to our fellow Lasallians and to the public who is watching right now. I am Riz Carcelar,
And I am Tristan Donato.
and together,
We would like to welcome you to the launch of Samahang na Mag-aaral Psikolohiya's vidcast, where we bring you to the latest news in the realm of psychology.
you know what, Tristan? I'm actually very excited to have our very first podcast episode, especially since our guest for today is loved by many psychology students in DLSU. Kung naging prof mo na siya, I'm sure you get what I mean. I actually had Sir actually for so many terms na and so many classes, so I feel like I'm very familiar with him and the same way that I'm familiar na rin with like all of my fellow classmates. What about you, Tristan?
Well, ako naman, Riz, as a freshman here, don't have the privilege yet of taking one of Sir Arcega's classes, but I was able to see him in our last term's event in Sync, Tulay ng Kulay, as he was the speaker there, and I'm pretty sure na almost all of us have heard his name here and there before. Kaya naman, wag na natin patagalin pa because I know that we will still have a fruitful episode for today because our guest is for the very first episode of our podcast is currently an associate lecturer in the Department of Psychology at DLSU.
He has a master's degree in psychology, majoring in human development, and is currently pursuing his PhD degree in educational psychology at UP Diliman. Not only that, but he also has an extensive knowledge and experience in teaching Psikolohiyang Filipino, which is our topic for today. Please all welcome Sir Paul Arcega.
Hello, good afternoon everyone and sa ating mga mahal na manonood. Nagtagalog. No, I'll be code switching a lot in this podcasts. But yes, hi, I am Sir Paul Arcega. Apparently, my reputation precedes me. Parang hindi. Hello, I usually teach a lot of the second year subjects, experimental psychology, biology, I've been teaching Psikolohiyang Filipino for around 2 terms already, but I've been familiar with and introduced with the concept and the story of Psikolohiyang Filipino for a very long time, since my master's degree actually. So, yeah, that's me. Overall, I've been with DLSU for around 4 years already. And for those who know me, you know the kind of prof that I am. For those who have yet to meet me, I hope to see you in your second year subjects. If may slots kayo.
All right, sir, that's good to hear. And good luck to us nga for getting some stats. Pero na yun naman, sir, just to give our viewers and listeners a brief background about our topic, ano ba ang psikolohiyang Pilipino?
No, that's quite a loaded question because sort of um the defining this field of Psikolohiyang Filipino with clear words is sort of difficult to do because there are so many perspectives. I think, of course, the first and foremost person that we think of in Psikolohiyang Filipino would be the Psikolohiyang Filipino of Dr. Virgilio Enriquez, right? He is the founder of Psikolohiyang Filipino and primarily the contributor of Kapwa theory. And a lot of the scholarship in Psikolohiyang Filipino either revolves around his theory or comes from his idea of kapwa and his idea of what the Filipino value should be. And in fact, until now, there is a strong sense of that Psikolohiya Pilipino in a lot of universities. I think in senior high, hindi ako nag-senior high, so correct me if I'm wrong. I think in senior high, Virgilio Enriquez is also introduced to people as someone in Filipino psychology, but not, I I guess, in the same depth as we do in college. But if you zoom out in a way, moving away from Virgilio Enriquez's Psikolohiya Pilipino, we actually have a lot of other people who talk about Filipino affect, behavior, and cognition. Marami pa. Generally in his circle, no, we have the big three UP professors of Virgilio Enriquez from psychology. We also have Dr. Zeus Salazar, who is in the anthropological historical perspective. He contributed naman the Pantayong Pananaw. And then we also have Dr. Prospero Covar, who contributed Filipinohia. And these are different approaches to understanding Filipino behavior, also from different perspectives. For example, a classic lecture I have in my Psikolohiya Filipino class is the difference of perspective between Dr. Salazar, who is a historian, anthropologist, very culture-oriented, very qualitative focused, versus Dr. Enriquez, who's quite psychological, empirically minded, very scientifically oriented. And if we really narrow down Psikolohiya Pilipino into a singular definition, dapat you're following Salazar, or no, dapat you're following Enriquez, that I think sort of defeats the purpose. In a recent, hindi na siya recent, in a paper in 2013, Mr. J. Yakat, Sir J. Yakat, who teaches in UP, he highlights that Psikolohiya Pilipino should not just be confined into these people. It really is anyone, any psychologist who's interested in indigenous concepts, indigenous theory, and indigenous concerns. No, mga problema Pilipino, mga pinoproblema ng Pilipino, at mga Pilipino problema. So, while that's the technical definition, Virgilio Enriquez, I like to think that Psikolohiyang Filipino is a lot more dynamic and a lot wider than just what Dr. Enriquez started.
With that, I feel like we really delved into it. That's kind of like, let's say, a lot right
A
now with
lot.
what we're starting off. It is quite a lot, sir. But with that, we're very thankful for all of that information. But let's just say, for people such as Tristan, who hasn't even taken Psikolohiyang Filipino po, no? For you po, sir, what is truly the essence of Psikolohiyang Filipino? At least for you, in your own
I
words.
think the core of it, to use the keyword kapwa, that really is the core concept. Whether or not you agree with it being the literal core concept, the aspect of the Filipino being emphatic, being interrelated with one another, having a value placed on interpersonal connection, and the goal of chasing that interpersonal connection in a very Filipino way, I think, is the essence of Psikolohiya Filipino. We look for kapwa, we feel kapwa in behaviors, in emotions that are very unique to us. We have words for experiences of relating to kapwa, of relating to other people that are not found in other cultures. No, a classic example I give, kilig, yung tampo. Ito yung mga salita, mga experience na parang kailangan mo maging Pilipino para maintindihan. And one of the challenges is to communicate actually to the wider audience, the psychological world, what these experiences, what these behaviors, what these emotions are, in a way that they can understand, that we can both start a conversation about. So I think that's that core essence of finding what it means to find your kapwa, to relate to other Filipinos like you.
Truly, I really love that answer. Being here in SMS, we do have a tagline, lagit lagi kapwa para sa kapwa. And I feel like parang yun po yung message po, sir, when it comes to like the essence of Psikolohiyang Filipino, having that engagement and having that communication with your fellow kapwa in order to even form these terms po. And with that, we can throw it back to a little bit of a history run kung paano po ba nabuo ang Psikolohiyang Filipino.
Magle-lecture ako ng buong
It can be very brief lang po, sir. Maybe a little like snippet for our students that will
Oh,
still take Psikolohiyang Pilipino po in the
parang
future.
introduction po to what we're going to expect in our next year.
Ah. Yung mga mga kasama natin dito sa Zoom room na project head dito na not currently in Psychopil, mga spoilers to, no? But I'll try to keep it very brief so that it's not too spoilery. No, I always say the way that I deliver Psikolohiya Pilipino is like it's a story. It's a story that started out very organically. It's a story that's continuing. Um, really, if we want to put a starting point with Psikolohiyang Filipino, um, it really goes back to pre-colonial period, no, the pre-colonial times, because we have been creating examples and explanations about our behaviors for the longest time. No, it did not start with the introduction of formal psychology in the Philippines. No, we have been creating myths and explanations and all passed down from one generation to the next, explaining why we should do certain things or not. And with the advent of the colonial period, sort of that kind of psychology, that understanding of who we are, it went by the wayside in lieu of the more academic, philosophical, and academic scientific approaches to psychology, the ones that we learn in school. Kaya nga siya academic, right? It started with a quiet philosophical, theological perspective with the Spanish colonial period. And then with the American colonial period, it became the flavor, for lack of better term, the flavor of psychology that we all know today. No? The tradition of Wilhelm Wundt and Sigmund Freud. That came in with the American colonial period. Our university for was founded during the American colonial period. So that that psychology became very widespread, very mainstream, and these conversations about indigenous concepts, indigenous explanations, really disappeared after World War II. We have a lot of Filipinos who, influenced by Western American style education, went to America and then went back to the Philippines in order to proliferate their Western style psychological education. Maraming names yan. Names that people will hear probably for the first time in Psikolohiya Pilipino. But Virgilio Enriquez, after the 1970s, no, he wanted to sort of break that cycle. I know it's sort of very cliche, and that might not be his direct rationale, but he wanted to break the cycle of sort of relying so much on Western topics and explanation as to why we act the way that we do. And so, starting from his small classes in UP Diliman, the movement of Psikolohiya Pilipino started to grow in the 1980s and 1990s. From UP, it spread across the Philippines, particularly in Metro Manila. And then the 2000s, 2010s, sadly, it sort of stalled because Virgilio Enriquez died in 1998. And it was only recently in the 2010s, 2020s that a lot more scholarship started to appear in Psikolohiya Pilipino, primarily because of the generations of professors that are currently in the psychological departments in various universities. Our professors, not just me, no, our professors, the people who are teaching you, who taught me, no, they contributed a lot to that scholarship in the 2010s, 2020s. And now we see sort of like a resurgence in Psikolohiya Filipino. There are a lot of, for example, scales that are starting to appear in literature. There is influx of interest in local indigenous conferences. And quite recently, there was a paper, a milestone of the department actually, a paper co-published with the Department of Filipino. Our own Miss Monica Policarpio was a co-author of that paper. This paper sort of heralded DLSU as the second home of Psikolohiyang Pilipino after UP Diliman. So yeah, in this resurgence of indigenous psychology, we're sort of at that forefront, starting to further investigate who we are. So yeah, Yung TLDR of the history of Psychopil. I left out a lot. I left out a lot, but that's for the actual subject already.
I think for students like Tristan who still have not like at least heard a lot about Psikolehiyang Filipino might be overwhelmed right now, but again, like Sir said, he still left out so much more. So there's still so much in store. And with that, I feel like parang Sir, you already discussed this. But as someone who took up Psikolehiyang Filipino and was actually wondering, ano po ba yung parang naging difference niya or pagkakaiba ng Psikolohiyang Pilipino sa ibang pananaw sa psikolohiya? I guess this can be like something now, what is the relevance po ba? Bakit po ba tayo merong psikolohiyang Pilipino?
I think we can make the most direct comparison between Psikolohiyang Pilipino, PSYPILI, and social psychology or PsySoci. I think that's the most direct comparison. And really, the the focus of both subject matters is the same. The human person in relationship to other people. Diba? It's still the same objective, diba? Trying to explain affect, behavior, and cognition in regards to how we fit in with other people. It's just that the source of that explanation really differs. The argument of the explanation really differs. In PsySoci, you have things like, I'm not the best social psychologist. You have things like asset conformity, right? You have things like groupthink. And yeah, you might be thinking, okay, we see this in Filipino society. We see groupthink in Filipino society. We see conformity in Filipino society. But yun nga, uh, fundamentally, that these explanations have to be viewed in a critical lens. We can't just get these explanations of why we act the way that we do without verifying first, is this truly applicable to our experience as Filipinos? Para bang we're questioning in Psikolohiyang Pilipino, is it right to copy-paste the conformity described by Solomon Ash to the phenomena or the experience, say, in, I don't know, in Philippine politics or Philippine religiosity? Tama ba na 1:1 copy-paste yun? And that critical evaluation of, wait lang, let's take a moment to pause. I think that's where Psikolohiyang Filipino is coming from. And it provides this sort of alternative explanation. An explanation that is about Filipinos, yes, but also comes from an insider perspective. Because yeah, it's a common joke that I make in class. How can a white man living in Yale University explain to you what you experience riding the LRT going to Vito Cruz? Right? Paano pa mas kilala ng puting tao yung experience ng Pilipino? Mas alam niya yung personality mo kaysa sa sarili mo. So parang that's what Psikolohiya Filipino is trying to argue for. Now, I am not saying, no, I am not saying that that's the correct argument. Okay, we have to be critical and we have to look at these positions with a sense of critical thinking. We're not indoctrinating people, no, but it's another perspective. It's another perspective na teka lang, sandali, tama ba to? And I think that critical thinking perspective, that moment of pausing and double checking whether or not this is actually applicable to us. I think that's an important quality that Kolohiyang Filipino gives to our students in the psychology curriculum. Because if we just spoon feed you theories, oh, ang galing nyo nga. Pero teka lang, tama ba yun? Ayun.
All right,
Despite
sir.
we're actually really like that concept, right, Tristan? Totoo nga naman. Paano naman ma-explain ng someone that's, let's say, taking the New York subway?
I agree,
Hindi
Darius.
LRT system here, di ba?
Parang it's not giving Filipino vibes kapag we follow what we see in the Western experiences. And I think that's a really good thing to talk about, na parang the essence of Psikolohiya Pilipino really is isang kapwa para sa kanyang kapwa talaga. It really is a Filipino applying his own Filipino theories into what the Filipino culture is about. In that sense, we parang get our own unique way of understanding how our culture is. So, with that being said, Sir Arcega, what is the state of Psikolohiyang Pilipino today?
Oh. I would admit myself personally as a scholar and a researcher, wala pa talaga ako masyadong ambag sa psikolohiyang Pilipino literature. No, I'm still starting out my career. Kita niyo naman, medyo bagets pa ako, no. But uh, um, overall, I feel that there is this re-examination happening. And ako lang to, haka-haka ko lang to. There's this re-examination happening in the indigenous psychology perspective of what should and should not be done in terms of studying psychology in the Philippines from an indigenous perspective, right? The time of Enriquez is over in a way, in a sense na all of his writings were valid and significant in the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. It's already 2024. No? So there is this feeling of re-evaluating. Teka, tama ba yung sinabi noon? Let's double check. Let's look at it again. Let's try different perspectives. Let's try different tools this time compared to what was done in the 1970s, 1980s. And we see that in a lot of the current literature being published in Psikolohiyang Pilipino, while, for example, the methodologies developed in the 1980s were primarily qualitative in nature. Maraming kwentuhan, maraming tanong-tanong. Now, we see a lot of, for example, the work of Castardo Conaco and their Kapwa theory scale na it didn't just give us a evaluative measure of Kapwa, but actually introduced new concepts such as D-Kapwa. No, parang when I saw that, this is a 2023 scale, by the way. When I saw that, parang, oh, this is a new innovation, a new thing added on to Kapwa theory that did not exist. So there's that feeling of, okay, let's make this grow. Let's make this grow again. Yun nga, it's not just a re-evaluation na para, oh, tama ba to? There's also this resurgence of interest in a new generation. Oh. So yeah, that I think that's sort of the vibes. But yun nga, I'm speaking from a position of someone who is still starting out.
Right.
No, perhaps a more experienced person, for example, like Doc Darren Tumao or Doc Homer Yabut, perhaps they have a different assessment. Pero for me, sa aking naive viewpoint, ito yung napapansin ko.
Okay, sir. So it goes back to parang that essence of stepping back and like reevaluating, to going back to what Psikolohiyang Pilipino was about, na parang tama ba that we should be copy pasting Western theories into Philippine culture, ganon. But nowadays it's more about, should the previous studies continue to be, are they still applicable into the current times, especially since they were done during the 90s and now it's the 2020s. So with that being said, sir, even though it's like, as you said, it's a naive perspective, what do you think are the current challenges and prospects that happened here in Psikolohiyang Pilipino?
No, the number one challenge really is maintaining the relevance of Psikolohiyang Pilipino in an increasingly, I don't want to say hostile, kasi yung siya hostile, but in an increasingly more commercialized view of psychology. What do I mean? A lot of students enter into psychology because they want to use their psychology in an applied field. An applied field like medicine, a lot of students want to become doctors. An applied field like law, a lot of students want to become lawyers. An applied field in corporate, an applied field in clinical psychology because nandun yung board exam, nandun yung prestige. And to be frank, nandun yung stable income. No? And it's very difficult to get people interested in research in general. No? It's very hard to get people interested in academia. What more, a very specific kind of research that's indigenous psychology. So parang yun yung unang-unang mahirap na challenge. Getting people to realize, oh, this is something I want to do. This is something interesting for me. Because yun nga, the mindset of a lot of psych students is that, okay, I'm taking psych because may gusto akong puntahan, may gusto akong gawin. No? It's not, I'm taking psych kasi ang sarap aralin ng psych. Diba? And I think it gets there, no? I hope it did and I hope it will for those na nasa ating curriculum na you do fall in love with psychology eventually. But yun nga parang ang hirap ng hikayat. And then number two, aside from the disinterest of students, I think one big challenge is making Psikolohiya Pilipino relevant in terms of actual action and practice. Um, we will talk about the service learning later, no? Pero hindi kasi pa pwede na yung gantong usapan tungkol sa kapwa, yung finding the self in the other, it really falls flat if it stays within the four corners of the classroom. And more than that, all of the fathers of Psikolohiya Filipino, Virgilio Enriquez, no, and people just like who commented on Psikolohiya Filipino, like Jesus Salazar, they have this important idea that the research has to come down to the people. No, kailangan bumaba yung research mula sa ating ivory towers. And in the case of Lasal, no, literally look at my background, literal ivory towers, no, it has to come down from ivory towers towards the people. And the people have to feel the result of the psychology about them. So finding that relevance is really a big challenge. Ever since, it is a big challenge. And until now, it is still a big challenge for Psikolohiyang Pilipino. So yeah, making it relevant and making it relevant to others.
Okay, sir, that's actually a really good insight, especially since the fact na aminin ko, I'm using psychology to get into pre-med. So, parang natamaan ako a bit when you said that we're using psychology not in the sense that we want to go into the field of psychology, but because it's like a way for us to get into other fields as well. So back. So what do you think about that, Riz, regarding yung mga challenges ko?
Actually, it's so real because I realize a lot of like my classmates parang funny din kasi sometimes even profs would ask, kayo ba, what are your plans after college? And it's, I mean like undergrad and they're like, oh, med school, law school. So more like psychology, sir, is like being used just unfortunately, a stepping stone lang rather than, let's say, the destination itself. So parang naging stop along the road lang siya, which is kind of, again, it can be a little sad considering how actually profound that thing is, na there's so much you can learn and it's actually so fun. Considering yun nga, going down from our ivory towers, if you've taken Sir Arcega in field methods, that's always the term he uses, coming down from our ivory towers and going into the field, meeting the people, going to this place and talking to them. So that's what the essence of Psikolohiyang Filipino is. And I feel like if a lot more people looked into it, rather than just view it as something that it can take them somewhere, it can be so much more. And with that, we can go back into our ivory tower.
Pero
Let's
hindi,
go.
ano lang, just to preface before we move on, no, I'm not saying that it's bad if you use psychology to go to med school, to go to law school, to go to corporate. Because, you know, psychology, wherever you go, is going to be a helping field. You will help people. Okay. And it's not anything bad for those people who will go to these degrees na, okay, hindi na ako magsa-psych, maglo-law na ako. Hindi, tutulong ka pa rin ng tao eh. Tutulong ka pa rin ng tao. Pero, ayun nga, there's that difficulty na, okay, if everyone will apply psychology, who will make it grow? If to use a analogy, kung lahat ng tao magha-harvest mula sa tree of psychology, who will tend its roots? Ganon. So, yun yung challenge. And yeah, yung ivory tower na yan, kahit na i-recognize natin, we're in a privileged institution. No? We really are in a privileged institution. it's always the challenge of Lasallian education to make our privilege translate to the last, the least, and the lost. And that is in line completely with the mission of Psikolohiya Pilipino, with the end goal of Enriquez, no? Na kailangan yung psychology maramdaman ng tao. No? So yes, we recognize we're in an ivory tower, but we cannot stay here. We cannot stay here. It cannot stay here. Ayun.
Yun nga yung sinasabi ng a lot of professors na na-take ko in psychology na it's actually quite beneficial to have psychology as an undergrad, even if you're just gonna, let's say, like you, Tristan, proceeding into med school, hopefully, diba? Kasi we have this perspective na parang let's say, we take what we learn, such as humanistic perspectives, into what we do, rather than just being very technical with our things. So, like, right, diba, Tristan?
Yeah, and I suppose in that way, we're somehow also applying the psychology field and the field of Psikolohiang Pilipino into actual practice, as we're not just analyzing the culture of the Filipino, but we're also siguro allowing ourselves to better understand what makes us so unique as a country and as a people. So
With that, like what I said earlier, going back into the ivory tower po muna, sir. In terms of Psikolohiyang Pilipino, being a part of the DLSU psychology curriculum, how do you think it happened to, sir?
You know, you would be surprised. Virgilio Enriquez taught in Latal. He did. He was a visiting professor. Well, I don't think that's a correct term, but he taught part-time in DLSU in the 1990s. I would just like to correct kanina. Virgilio Enriquez died 1994, not 1998. But he taught in LaSalle in the latter parts of his life. And of course, going here, he proliferated the importance of indigenous psychology. Moreover, a lot of Virgilio Enriquez's own students from UP, when he started Psikolohiyang Pilipino, would teach here. No? A lot of them. And they sort of comprise the senior faculty of our department. Hindi nyo na siguro sila kilala, pero professors like number one that comes to the top of my head, Professor Alan Bernardo, for example, interacted with Virgilio Enriquez. Professor Madeline Santa Maria, Miss Mayet Goanson La Peña, even other department professors that hindi ko na nakilala, they were Virgilio Enriquez's students. They were in the UP Diliman in that era of Psikolohiyang Pilipino, just being born, and then they would teach here. Ganon. So I think that passing of the torch, if you like, from Diliman to the other side of Metro Manila to Taft Avenue, made us cultivate this culture of being the second home of Psikolohiya Pilipino. Nabuo din talaga dito, naalagaan din dito. Aside from that, no, there was this very important drive in the 1980s for Filipinizing social sciences. Reading to sa aking class about one DLSU president, for example, Brother Andrew Gonzalez was a very big proponent of Filipinizing social sciences. And part of his drive to Filipinize the social sciences was to actually initiate that invitation of a lot of scholars. Oh, go to LaSalle. Come here. Let's talk about these things. Kaya na-plant yung seed ng indigenization, ng importance of Filipinizing our understanding of humanities, of the liberal arts. So it just grew and grew and grew until Psikolohiyang Pilipino became quite a major subject in our psych curriculum.
Actually, it's so shocking to me na we can say Virgilio Enriquez was a Lasallian at some point, diba? So parang, at least that's like a fun fact for everyone who's listening to us right now.
especially
about-
because he's the founder of Psicologia Filipino. So I guess it's nice to hear na parang the origin of Psicologia Filipino here in DLSU started because the founder of it came to Lasal. Sabi ni Sir Arcega about the Filipinizing of social sciences because that really does fit into what Psicologia Filipino is about, di ba?
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of our professors right now, even when Sir Arcega mentioned in terms of like these professors, we may not be familiar with them anymore. But I feel like they are the ones that really truly cultivated that atmosphere and like that the knowledge even in of itself from the founder himself, Enriquez, into the Institute of De La Salle. And I feel like that is what truly makes the LSU one of the, I would like to say, one of the best places to learn more about Psikologiyang Filipino.
I'd just like to give a shout out there to one of our longtime senior faculty, Dr. Roberto Javier, has been taking care of Psikologiyang Filipino in TLSU for the longest time. No, he handled Psikologiyang Filipino in the 2000s and 2010s, and actually, it was his handling of the subject, his care for the subject, that allowed it to really stay as a key component in our curriculum until now. Dr. Javier is still teaching in the department. I'm sure some of you know him. And really I have to thank him for keeping that spirit alive of indigenizing psychology. No, I realized I realized hindi ko na sa lahat ng list na nasabi ko kanina, hindi ko na mention yung person na nandun pa rin sa department. No? So yes, shout out kay Dr. Javier for keeping Psikolohiyang Filipino alive in the 2000s, 2010s.
Right. So for any of our listeners here who are planning to join LaSalle or even the LaSalle Psychology Department, you've heard it here. Maganda rin ang Psikolohiyang Pilipino here in our university. Fours are coming in, so wala lang. But actually, Sir Arcega, I'd like to go back to that whole discussion of napuntahan from UP to here in LaSalle, that whole other one. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but di ba only UP offers a PhD in Psicologia Filipino?
Oh, yes, yes. Right now I think UP is. I'm not sure if it's currently being. Is it currently being offered right now? Ah, I see, I see. Because I know they have a master's in Psicologia Filipino. So now they also have a PhD. Tama?
Opo, sir.
Ah, interesting. So yeah, yes, sila lang yung nag-o-offer ng ganon.
Mhm. But sir, going to that question, siguro a bit of a touchy subject, but why do you think DLSU does not have a graduate program for Psicologia Filipino?
Okay. I am not an administrator of our department, but I think one of the number one considerations for this is is it something that addresses the needs of the psychological community, and is it something that will interest prospective students? When you look at a graduate program, it's not the same as an undergraduate program that people will want to go into to get a job. No, graduate programs really are designed to attract students who have a particular goal or mindset. Okay, and currently we do have three graduate programs in DLSU, particularly in the master's area. We have human development, we have clinical psychology, and we have industrial organizational psychology. I think, no, this is just me. This is just me. I think studying psychology in an indigenous way can already be done inside those three tracks. No, but if you want, for example, I am a graduate of human development, right? I'm a graduate of human development. If I had wanted to angle my master's thesis in a very psikolohiyang Filipino way, pwede. It's possible. So parang by psikolohiyang Filipino is is already a possibility within our graduate degree programs. Pwede mo na siyang gawin. Our PhD program naman in LaSalle is not per track. It's just a overall PhD in psychology program. And if you want to write your doctoral dissertation with the angle of Psikolohiya Pilipino, you are very much welcome to do so. So parang it's already there, right? You can already pursue indigenous psychology inside DLSU's graduate programs. Now, why UP has a PhD in Psikolohiya Pilipino, I don't think I can say behind their decision making. But as for us, at least, you can already do indigenous psychology research in our graduate program degrees. Right? Nothing is stopping you. And actually, I would say it's encouraged if you want to look at Filipino issues.
So kumbaga sir, it's not that DLSU does not want to have a graduate program for Psikolohiyang Pilipino, but kumbaga it's very encouraged to integrate Psikolohiyang Pilipino into the other three graduate programs. And it's a really good perspective on graduate programs in general for psychology. I didn't realize na parang they're there to capture the interest of students who want to pursue those specific fields. But that's also really interesting na how Psikolohiyang Pilipino can easily be integrated into these different graduate programs. So, with that being in mind, sir, kailangan po ba ng master's or PhD degree sa Psikolohiyang Pilipino? Since we've talked about it so much with the UP, PhD, as well as the LSU not having a graduate program.
Well, I feel that in order to be a Psikolohiyang Filipino researcher, you don't need a specific degree in Psikolohiyang Filipino. That's just me, ah. That's just me. One of main um the main changes that are happening in Psikolohiyang Filipino are sort of removing that context, that pretense of exclusivity. Na parang, okay, Psikolohiyang Filipino is this small group of researchers that's doing their own thing. No, I think you can be involved in Psikolohiyang Filipino even if you publish in English, even if you publish outside the Philippines, as long as you concern yourself with Filipino concepts, as long as you concern yourself with Filipino issues, it's still Psikolohiyang Filipino because you are looking at affect behavior and cognition of Filipinos. No, we have to remove ourselves from the mindset that Psikolohistang Filipino or psychologists who do Psikolohiyang Filipino is this very small group of people with very niche interests. Any psychologist can do Psikolohiyang Filipino. Any psychologist. As long as the heart, the passion of the movement is there to understand who we are from our own perspective, you are someone who is doing Psikolohiyang Filipino.
That's
Actually,
a
quite
very
interesting. Because earlier I was thinking of asking this question, which is, does it go against what you said, sir, from earlier? This is actually going off script. This is actually just something I'm interested in terms of like, does it go against na parang sinabi niyo pa earlier in terms of like people actually um producing more research and just more emphasis on Psikolohiyang Filipino. But when you said in terms of like extending that reach, and rather than like thinking of like integrating it as of just a little spice into your research, into your undergrad and into your graduate degree, but rather as something na you can include in like different aspects of psychology, and like being allowed, like allowing other people to even use it in terms of like not just being limited to that small group of people that people may think that is part of psychology. But yun nga, I was just thinking about that. Oh, you were saying
Ayun,
earlier. Oh, yes, yes,
parang
sir.
ano parang I don't want students to think na, oh, okay, I'll just make my rationale of the study. We have to understand more about the Filipino affect behavior. No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay. Because that sort of is also a disservice to the passion of the movement, to the importance placed by these Filipino psychologists on Psikolohiyang Filipino. If you are going to do research in Psikolohiyang Filipino, in whatever field, no, in whatever field, you don't have to be PhD in Psikolohiyang Filipino on your resume, no? But you need to have that fundamental spirit of, okay, I want I want to understand more than what these theories that I'm getting from the mainstream psychology is telling me. Okay, there has to be this sort of, okay, Dr. Santa Maria in her paper says it's a kilusan, it's movement, this spirit of the movement na I want to know more about who we are from what we are. And you can't just do that in a very shallow way na say, what is the rationale of the study? There is a lack of literature about this in the Philippines. Di ba? Napakababaw nun. Napakababaw nun. Ano ngayon kung kulang yung literature sa Pilipinas? And this can be in any psychological discipline, clinical, social, developmental. You have to have a better answer than just there are not enough studies about this in the Philippines. No, what will this bring to the Filipinos? And doon manggagaling in answering that, ano ngayon, para saan yan? Doon manggagaling yung spirit na sinasabi ko, that spirit of the movement, spirit of the kilusan. Na okay, this is important because of this, because of this, because of this. So that's what I'm coming from. And that is what I am also recognizing, that more and more students, more and more researchers are exhibiting that love, that passion in the research outputs that are coming out in the 2020s. No? Na movement is not stopping. It's not stopping. It's gaining traction. Okay. So it's not as if these people have PhDs in Psikolohiya Pilipino or masters in Psikolohiya Pilipino. No, not at all. But they have that spirit.
Considering that, I feel like we don't even have to reach a certain point of like gaining or working on our graduate degree. Because even in being in college right now, I'm seeing a lot of my classmates taking up classes like field methods, psychological measurement, and they're already including yun nga po, concepts of Psikolohiyang Filipino into their studies, into the skills that they're making. So I feel like from what you said, sir, it's already something that we can already see being a psych major here in De La Salle University. And with that, considering that po, I feel like it's still important for people to have that initial knowledge about Psikolohiyang Filipino being introduced by a course that we are taking here nga po. So with that, why do you think Psikolohiyang Filipino is unfortunately only offered as a course at a limited number of universities?
So, ayun. Feel ko spoiler alert to sa aking class kung sabihin ko kung alin universities lang ang may Psikolohiya Pilipino. Pero yeah, it is a limited amount. I think for two reasons. And these reasons might differ from university to university. And of course, because I come from LaSalle, I teach in LaSalle, I can really only talk about LaSalle with accuracy. No? So when I talk about the state of Psikolohiya Pilipino in other schools, it's basically conjecture. Number one, I think there is the underappreciation for Psikolohiya Pilipino or a focus on doing well in the more mainstream psychology subject. No, that's the first reason. A hyper focus, a focus on doing well on the mainstream psychology subjects, to the point that indigenous psychology, Psikolohiyang Filipino, is not that highlighted. Number two, another possible reason is that Psikolohiyang Filipino, or the understanding of psychological thought in the Philippines, is a lot more interspersed across multiple subjects instead of concentrated in just one. No? For example, perhaps napapag-usapan yung Psikolohiyang Pilipino in their anthropology classes, their sociology classes, their GEs, pwede yun. And it's not concentrated in just one class. Or perhaps it's already introduced or integrated in the curriculum of their social psychology or of their philosophy courses or of the theology courses minsan, no? But I do think the first reason is a lot more common than the second. That there is a hyper focus on the more traditional uh, psychology subjects like ExPsych, like biopsych, and especially the board exam subjects of biopsych, devpsych, psych assessment, and industrial psychology. Ayun.
I'd like to think this is something that a lot of like my fellow students here in DLSU isn't even familiar of, since dito nga po sa DLSU, Psikolohiyang Pilipino is very much a big part of our journey as a psych major. And with that, do you think po, sir, what is your opinion in terms of like CHED not mandating it to be part of the psychology curriculum so that it may be applied in different universities beyond DLSU po?
I have two thoughts about that. Number one, um, ito yung sinasabi sa ito yung sinasabi na there is a lack of institutional support for Psikolohiyang Pilipino that the government itself doesn't seem to recognize its importance. But number two, at the same time, I feel that mandating it to be taught across all colleges, um, it's quite difficult to get that sense of okay, this is important, this is relevant to us because parang nadadilute yung yung spirit or yung passion of the movement. If I'm making sense, no? It becomes just another thing to check off the checklist in a way. And if that is the case, parang sayang. Sayang na this subject, this story that a lot of people have been involved in with a lot of passion. No, passion is really the word. Passion is really the word. Um, gets sort of watered down. No, and hindi naman deserve, I think, ng Psikolohiyang Pilipino with its ups and downs and its powerful spirit and its relevance to society. I don't think that the course deserves to be watered down in that way. Um, in an ideal world where all college students will be exposed to high quality college professors given by the Commission of Higher Education, why not? Diba? Why not? But realistically, how many people can teach Psikolohiyang Pilipino highlighting its uniqueness, its spirit, its passion compared to the mainstream psychology subjects? Diba? Yung danger eh. We don't want it to become social psychology but in Tagalog. Right? We don't want it to become like that. And I'm not saying social psychology is bad as a subject ha, pero nawawala yung kanyang spice or ano, lack of better word. Nawawala yung kanyang spirit. So yun yung aking caution doon. Kaya naman siya i-pull off. Why not?
With that, I feel like we can recognize that we're truly blessed here in the LSU to have passionate teachers, like what you said, Puser, in terms of like losing that essence, even that spirit of Psikolohiyang Filipino if it ever is mandated by CHED to be part of the psychology curriculum. But considering that, in terms of what you think lang po, sir, in terms of necessity, kailangan na ba maging bahagi ng psychology curriculum sa lahat ng universities ang Psikolohiyang Pilipino?
Again, I wear the disclaimer. I'm a very young teacher. I am a very young professor. And while I'm taking my PhD in educational psychology, I'm still starting out. So I am not the best expert in talking about curricula. No, I think higher education institutions should take a long, hard look at Psikolohiyang Pilipino and check with themselves, does teaching this subject contribute to the kind of psychologists that we want to output in our institutions? No? Because really, while it's very easy for me to say, yes, it should be in every ano, diba? Parang we also have to recognize that this particular field or discipline of psychology might not fit into the overall idea or picture of the institution for its psychology graduates. No, perhaps they could teach not Psikolohiyang Pilipino, but perhaps cultural psychology or cross-cultural psychology. Kasi baka mas doon bagay yung faculty nila or baka mas doon naglilin yung kanilang research culture, no? I think institutions should consider, consider if it's right for them, no? But I don't think I'm in the position or in the right knowledge mindset, amount of knowledge to say na, okay, dapat lahat ng school sa Pilipinas may psikolohiyang Pilipino. No? No. Though if they do get psikolohiyang Pilipino in their curriculum, that would be a beautiful addition to their psychology program. I would think. This story of finding out who we are, ang sarap niya pag-aralan. And if you also dive yourself into it as a teacher, ang sarap din niya ikwento. Ang sarap din niya ikwento. Ayun.
With that, I feel like there's a lot of like still more things to work on in terms of even the psychology curriculum itself and the psychology atmosphere here in the Philippines in terms of studying it, in terms of adding Psikolohiyang Filipino into our curriculum. Na parang sinabi niyo nga, sir, keeping that essence, keeping that spirit is gonna be hard if you make it something na parang, okay, kailangan namin to aralin kasi part siya ng curriculum or kailangan ko to ituro as a professor because sinabi sa akin that I have to teach it. So it has to have that heart even to want to teach it, to have that passion, to even recognize what truly is the importance of Psikolohiyang Filipino.
And siguro to add on to that, parang I really get what sir is saying na yeah, it could be done that Psikolohiyang Pilipino could be really integrated into the psychology curriculum. But that would really just make it, ang best na sabi ni sir is like, it would just become another subject to check on your checklist. Like, you have to pass this subject, you have to learn about Psikolohiyang Pilipino to graduate, kumbaga. It would become like that if it were to be integrated into the curriculum. But it's also somewhat good that it's by choice, kumbaga. It's by choice of the researcher and the psychologist to really discover and add on to the movement of Psikolohiyang Pilipino. So
Siguro to ano lang, that's Virgilio Enriquez's dream actually. That Psikolohiyang Pilipino becomes relevant enough that all psychological students of the Philippines gets to learn it. No? But yun parang we have to establish its relevance first, and then we have to realize and make it fit to the different needs of psychological students, not just in Metro Manila, but across the country. For example, isa sa mga main things about Psikolohiyang Filipino is that it's in Filipino. It's a lot of the concepts are Filipino concepts, but not every Filipino student speaks Tagalog, no? So, ang ganda sana yun. This is like Enriquez's dream. A psikolohiyang Filipino being taught in Ilocos with Ilocano concepts. A psikolohiyang Filipino being taught in Zamboanga with concepts from Zamboanga. Something that is across the archipelago, all contributing to a body of knowledge. Pero yun, ang layo pa kasi noon. And we are really in that journey going there, no? Yung ang Filipino, Metro Manila, psikolohiyang Pilipino, ang hirap nang gawin. What more, a more nationwide idea of who we are and why we do the things that we do. So yeah, it really needs to grow more, I think. And siguro bago pa natin tanungin, kailangan pa to na lahat ng ng school, ready na ba siya? Yun, ready na ba siya? So,
So I guess moving away from that topic of Psikolohiyang Pilipino in the educational sector, we get to talk more about the Filipino indigenous concept, sir. So, siguro to start this conversation, what is your favorite Filipino indigenous concept?
parang what's your favorite food? Alam nyo, ang dami, no, ang dami. Um, but I really love the concept of loob. Loob. It's hindi siya inside loob. Um, I always in my Psikolohiya Filipino classes, it's one of the lectures I'm looking forward to because it's one of the lectures that hits the best and hits the most meaningful. No, and I'm sure the three people here who have taken my loob lecture would probably agree that it's such a beauty, but it's also not a mainstream psychological concept. When I talk about loob, I view it in two aspects or in two explanations. There's the psychological explanation of kagandahang loob, which is very Enriquetian. Uh, there are measures of that actually, mapa ng loob, for example. But I also was introduced to the concept of loob in a more philosophical, psychological sense by reading the works of our our colleagues, particularly the work of Father Albert Alejo SJ. Um, it's titled Tao Po Tuloy. We have a book of that in the library. No, and that approach to loob, without spoilers, no, sa mga magte-take ng aking Psikolohiya Pilipino class, no, punta kayo doon para malaman nyo. Without spoilers, it sort of captures the beauty and the intimacy of Filipinos in that simple exchange, tao po and tuloy. No, an affirmation of your humanity, of your kagandahang loob. And by affirming your humanity, you allow people that you in to their own humanity. It's such a beautiful concept. Kapwa, for me, I agree with that perspective that kapwa cannot exist without loob. Because where will kapwa be contained kung wala yung loob? So yun, that's my bias. My bias. That's my bias of the indigenous concepts. Pero marami pang indigenous concepts na magaganda na kailangan pa pag-aralan. But for me, loob really take.
And siguro sir, to go to that whole marami pang indigenous concepts that we can talk about. What are some examples of indigenous Filipino concepts that are really intriguing, kumbaga? Especially to
Oo.
somebody na, as me, coming from somebody na magte-take pa lang ng Psikolohiyang Pilipino.
One of my first examples in Psikolohiyang Pilipino is the concept of lambing. Lambing, no? Uh, when you ask for lambing, so ito na yung mga sneak peeks sa mga lecture ko, no? When you ask for lambing, what are you asking for, really? Diba? Is that an action? Is it just the action? Hindi, diba? Lambing has more of a emotional component rather than a behavioral component. And so when you ask for lambing, there has to be an emotion with the action. But look at this. If you do not receive lambing from your loved one, what do you feel?
Tampo.
Tampo. So, does that mean tampo exists in the absence of lambing? Di ba? So are they related to each other psychologically, no? It's like how anxiety is related to depression. Di ba? Are they related to each other? Tampo and lambing? And now that I point it out, you realize, oh nga no, I have never thought about it that way before. Oh, okay. If you do not get lambing, you feel tampo. What happens if you get the lambing? What do you feel?
Kilig.
Kilig. So does that mean kilig, and tampo are opposites to each other, like extroversion and introversion? Are they two sides of the same continuum? Tampo on one end and kilig on the other? Ganun ba yun? And that is when you start to realize, oh my, we know nothing about Psikolohiya Filipino concepts, do we? Because introversion, extroversion, that makes sense. That's intuitive. That's psychological. But when I say tampo and kilig might be on the same continuum because they are the opposite results of getting lambing, you realize, is there a theory of lambing that connects these two outcomes? So, you know, uh, these concepts, they exist, no doubt. No, you have felt tampo, you have felt lambing, you have asked for, you have felt kilig, you have asked for lambing. But now that you think about them in a psychological way, you realize the connections between these variables. I know, I'll directly call them variables now. The connections between these variables are large question marks. No? And these are not the only ones. Meron pa tayong the classic concepts like utang na loob. And very spicy concept. Very quote-unquote toxic concept daw, utang na loob. No? Meron ding lakas ng loob. Meron ding kagandahang loob. Uh, meron ding tibay ng loob or kadakilaan ng loob. Ang daming loob, no? Ano nangyayari sa loob? Um, we also have other concepts like hiya. Oh yeah, another classic one. Hiya. Concepts like pakikisama. Concepts like pakikiramdam. So these indigenous concepts, when you think about them, you realize they do happen in the Philippines. You have felt them. You have done it to people. People have done it to you. No? And there are implied connections with these concepts. If someone is rude to you, kung may taong bastos sa'yo, anong tawag mo sa kanya? Walang hiya. Makapal ang muka. 'Di ba? So, there are implied variable connections. If, if you measure nyo yan, tapos mag-regression analysis kayo dyan, ano mangyayari? 'Di ba? Magsisignificant pa yung p-value. 'Di ba? 'Di ba? And then, doon mo na-realize, oo nga, no? There is a world waiting to be investigated and people have been investigating, no? And really, ako din personally, I am also just slowly discovering this story. Every time I teach Psikolohiyang Pilipino, a new part of this story beautifully appears before me na I never knew before. And the more I teach Psychopil, the more I learn about it. Please don't get me wrong. I am not as I said in earlier in this podcast, I am not a theoretical or research expert in Psikolohiyang Filipino to the same extent as my more veteran colleagues. While I teach this, I also learn alongside my students. And it still amazes me how these concepts like kilig or kapwa, they still continue to reveal themselves. So, Riz, you finished my Psychopil course. Yung nasabi ko kanina, di ba, uh, meron palang concept na hindi kapwa. As in the opposite of kapwa. That just appeared last year, 2023. Di ba, Enrique said, you're either ibang tao or di ibang tao, kapwa or not kapwa yet. There is apparently another end of the spectrum na hindi kapwa at all. So parang, wow! Wow! And I know it sort of doesn't make sense to people who have not yet taken Psikolohiyang Filipino. I am so sorry. But the excitement in my voice when you hear me talk about this, and once you recognize the implications of that there are people who you discover will never be the same as you. Oh, kapwa. May ganun pala. And kailan lang yung na-discover? Last year. It's still this beautifully evolving subject. So yun. Maraming concepts. Marami pa. At marami pang nahahanap.
Feel with that, sir, even if you say na parang a lot of the students here that are listening to us right now that haven't taken Psikolohiyang Pilipino might be overwhelmed, but I'd like to think na it's something naman that we experience. But rather, we're just taking it the step further, studying about it here in Psikolohiyang Pilipino. But yun nga po, sir, the concept of ibang tao, hindi ibang tao or kapwa, another term for it, are kapwa, is something naman we experience even as children. When we say na, hindi ko bati yan, or
Diba?
iba
Diba?
siya, or we already experienced it, and I feel like we're just learning more about it, and we're just expanding our knowledge about it and looking at it even in a unfortunate technical term, but also including that life into it na parang, that's something na totoo naman na when it comes to sa hiya, sa utang na loob, the kilig. And when you said earlier about tampo and kilig, that's something I was thinking about, like, wow, okay, I'm smelling a correlational study here. And that could be possible with more knowledge that we have with this, but even that in itself can add, that said, more knowledge.
Siguro,
And
yes, sorry.
no, it's okay, sir, go on po.
Siguro just to temper expectations, right? While it's beautiful to understand these concepts, we still have to be very scientific about looking at these concepts, no? Psikolohiyang Pilipino has to be a scientific discipline. And yeah, it's exciting to find out about kapwa or about kilig. Pero nandun pa rin dapat yung scientific method, no? You have to be very clear what the research problem is about kilig. No, you have to be able to create hypothesis about it. You have to be able to measure it and test it. No, you cannot study kilig for kilig, right? It has to still be part of the scientific method. Okay. So parang,
So
yeah,
guys, hindi lang parang pwede na, okay, dahil parang na-inspire from crush,
oo. Oo, hindi pwede yon. Hindi
kinikilig
pwede,
ba ako si crush pag nakita ako? Like, guys, it
hindi
has to be
pwede
more
yun.
than that.
The passion has to come with the science. It has to still be scientific.
But at least there's passion.
Uh,
There's passion, but again, sabi nga ni sir, it still has to be scientific,
Oo.
measurable, feasible, yes, and with all that. Considering that in terms of, we've already touched upon research in Psikolohiyang Pilipino. How about the indigenous data collection methods such as pakikipagkwentuhan and pakikipanuluyan po, sir? Why do you think it is not widely accepted anymore po?
Well, just an anecdote, perhaps. I am taking my PhD in educational psychology in UP, and I actually proposed in one of my classes a study, a proposal using the indigenous research methods like pakikipagkwentuhan. The feedback to me was, how are you going to pull this off and differentiate it from a standard interview or a standard ethnography? And yes, um, I could answer na, okay, fundamentally, the goals are different. There is a different aspect, or it comes from a different place. An interview is about data collection. Kwentuhan is about establishing kapwa. My teacher, my professor says, okay, that's good, but in practice, what's the difference? And doon ko na-realize, oh yeah, magtatanong din naman ako ng tanong. So parang that's one of the problems with applying indigenous research methods. Either justifying why it's unique, or if you could justify why it's unique, pulling it off or doing or accomplishing the indigenous research method in a way that is both unique and authentic to its purpose. Ganon. Kasi yun din yung danger na, okay, sure, you can argue successfully that pagtatanong-tanong or pakikipagkwentuhan is different from an interview, pero in the field mismo, doon sa data gathering, talaga bang magagawa mo siya na different from an interview, or baka naman ang end result nun, interview pa rin yung kinalabasan. Ayun. Number two, aside from doing it and pulling it off, there are questions about applying different ethical standards on the indigenous research methods. And actually, medyo nagkaroon na kami ng conversation about this in in the department during lunch. Ganun. Parang random question lang na napaisip din ako, how do you get informed consent in pagtatanong-tanong? Diba? Parang ang hirap. Like if you approach a security guard, how do you get informed consent? Ganon. And you might, yun nga, it's sort of, it can be argued that, sir, that shouldn't be the focus, because if you make informed consent, you are you're establishing a powered imbalance. You're establishing na ikaw researcher ka, mas may alam ka, parang ganon. But we have to face the reality that if you're gonna publish that in an international arena, baka questionin yung ethical considerations mo, no? Whether or not it is ethical, yun yung standard eh. Nandun na tayo sa standards ng international community. Whether or not you agree with the philosophy behind it, it might be questioned in the committee. So I think doon nang gagaling yung reluctance in using the indigenous research methods. And spoiler na to kay Eliza kasi lecture ko pa lang to eh. Pero ayun, nandun nang gagaling yung reluctance na if we do this, katanggap-tanggap ba to in 2024? Because when they made it, it was 1970, 1980. Ethics was not standardized to the point that it is today. So yun. Yun yung problem with it. I'm not saying it's a bad research method, not at all. Nandoon yung intent, nandoon yung beautiful intent of establishing kapwa, of making a family from your research, of tapping into the souls of people. Soul talaga, no? Pero ganun talaga yung ganun talaga yung pagpasok ng loob eh. Kakatok ka, tao po, tuloy, tutulungan ka nila. But we are in an era of science where ethics is really important. And if there is a question in the ethical considerations, even a possible issue, that's a cause for concern. So, ayun.
It's like going back to what you said per earlier, no, po, sir. We can't just go into studying Psikolohiyang Pilipino with that passion and yet forgetting the important methods that we have to keep in mind in terms of keeping it scientific and also keeping it ethical.
Yes.
Because even if it is such as what you said, Mr. Psikolohiyang Pilipino is a movement, we'd still like to establish it as a branch of science din po. Or circles na pwede naman pong gamitin ang mga indigenous data collection methods such as yun na po what mentioned, pakikipagkwentuhan and pakikipanuluyan.
Oh, of course. I think there will always be people receptive to it. It's just that you have to recognize that it might not be received well in the more mainstream publications of science. Not just because it's indigenous or you use indigenous research methods, but because right now, the highest level of journals, they're quite empirical and quantitatively minded in nature. No? Yung mga quartile one, yung mga maraming citations na journals. I'm sure there will be a publication value. There will be a group of scholars who are still interested in indigenous research methods, especially if you're going to publish here in the Philippines. And if your goal is to publish in the Philippines, that's not a problem. It really is not a problem. You will get it published in the Philippines. But if your goal is going towards an international community, doon medyo magkakaroon ka ng problema. You might need to target more qualitative journals or perhaps journals that are more anthropologically minded, less empirically, scientifically, psychologically minded. Mga ganong journals. And I'm not saying na pangit i-target yung Philippines, ha. I don't want you to get that impression na, dapat sa international lagi yung target. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is different researchers, they do research for different reasons. And you have to understand your objective in doing this research. Sino ba yung target audience mo? And as I said in my previous research classes, the research method has to match the research question. Diba? It's not the other way around. You don't make a research question because you have a preferred research method. No. Pakikipagkwentuhan, pagtatanong-tanong, pakipagpanunuluyan, these are research methods. But you should not use them just because. They have to be used with the correct research question, with your correct research objective. Ano, scientific method pa rin. No? Mauuna yung tanong bago yung sagot.
So I guess it all goes back to being grounded on scientific or on being on scientific principles, not just the whole method, but also ethics and also how we approach the topic itself. So I guess you're going back to what you discussed about how multiple different professors here na hindi namin naabot, people who were also interested in Psikolohiyang Pilipino. I'd like to ask sir, what are the different approaches in teaching Psikolohiyang Pilipino from what you were able to see? And also, ayun lang po, what you were able to observe.
Ah, um, there there are especially people in UP, they teach primarily focused on Virgilio Enriquez and Virgilio Enriquez's theory. Doon umiikot yung buong psikolohiyang Pilipino nila. You talk about Kapwa theory, yes, but then iterations of Kapwa theory, you work on Kapwa theory, and then you do an indigenous research paper using the indigenous research methods that are based on Kapwa theory. So it's very Enriquez focused. That's one approach. No, and that is a valid approach. I'm not saying it's wrong because, well, Enriquez is the father of Psikolohiyang Pilipino. Diba? It's still a valid approach. Another approach is a more globalist, universal approach where we look at Psikolohiyang Pilipino not as a unique, special child, but as one of many indigenous psychologies. No? Because we also have to recognize that while Psikolohiyang Filipino was one of, if not the first, indigenous mainstream indigenous psychologies, there are others. There are indigenous psychologies in Japan, in Australia, New Zealand, other Southeast Asian nations, China, Canada, French Canada. Um, there are a lot of indigenous psychologies, and using a more globalist, universalist perspective, um, you may look at the common points of intersection across these different indigenous psychologies. So the focus there is more macro globalist in nature. My approach is a lot more socio-historical. I sort of get elements from both the previous approaches. But yun nga, as I said, I teach Psikolohiyang Pilipino as a story. No? And my goal with the Psikolohiyang Pilipino eventually is for students to recognize that this story is an important story. Ganon. I will not say that my approach is the best. Uh, I have had questions about the way that I teach Psikolohiyang Pilipino. If I were to be completely honest, I've had questions from not necessarily students. I've had questions. But for me, I really feel that the way I teach it serves my style as a teacher at the very least. Because that's also how I understood Psikolohiyang Pilipino. I I learned Psikolohiyang Pilipino primarily by becoming interested in its story. And doon ko lang, I'm just sort of repeating or sharing back to the world how the world revealed Psikolohiyang Pilipino to me. So yun. Those are the various approaches. Not one is better than the other. Really. And I'm sure if you have Kolohiyang Filipino under other professors aside from me, you will still get a fantastic experience, a wonderful experience. Because I think no matter who teaches this course, the course itself, the course content itself is just so dynamic and passionate and exciting that you cannot help but at the very least question what you learned so far. Ayon.
All right, sir. But you also discussed now you have other subjects that you teach here in LaSalle, like experimental psychology. So, how would you say your teaching style for that subject is different from your teaching style for Psicologiang Pilipino?
I laugh because when I teach my other subject, I teach Psych, Biopsych, and Cog Psych. When I teach those subjects and then I reach Psikologiyang Filipino, I sort of contradict myself across all of my previous subjects. Um, and it's really funny because a lot of students sort of get in their second year for Psych, and then suddenly they get me in Psikologiyang Filipino, and suddenly, you know what I taught in Psych? Enriquez disagrees with that. Ganon. In Psych, in Biopsych, in Cog-Psych, and in field methods, also in stat, but I also teach stat. Um, I teach in a very empirical, scientifically minded way. Um, when it's research. And you have to be very, what's the word I'm looking? Ayoko kasi sabihin na strict akong prof. Pero hindi naman sa ganon, no? Hindi naman sa nananakot. Wait, Riz, back me up. Hindi naman,
I think it depends, sir, kung anong course. I'd like to think it applies naman po, sir, from what you said. They're very empirical,
yeah.
very scientific. So I think
And you have to be scientific and empirically minded in all of my courses. But in Psych, in biopsych, especially in biopsych, this these courses are very very steep in the standard scientific tradition, right? When you perform laboratory experiments in Psych, and you perform cognitive experiments in Psych, when you start to touch and understand the human brain in biopsych, this is what is expected from psychology proper. Diba? Parang when I teach it, it's very content focused. The focus is learning stuff. You have to know what the hypothalamus is and what the role of the thalamus is. Ganon. You have to recognize the different models of cognition, no? The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. You have to know how to write an introduction. But when I teach Psikologiyang Filipino, and this is why I also love Psikologiyang Filipino. The content is important, yes. But part of my goal in Psikologiyang Filipino is also teaching the discipline of thinking. And I'm not saying I'm not teaching thinking in the other subjects, ha? But what I want my students in Psikology Filipino to develop is really those strong critical thinking skills. Because there are so many perspectives in Psikolohiya Filipino, and I don't want students to just blindly follow one perspective. No, because again, having opinions about this subject, about what it means to find a Filipino psychology. And all of these people, all of these opinions, they're pretty convincing when you hear them. Parang, oo nga, no, tama siya. Ganon, yeah, we shouldn't use Western psychology. Blah, blah. But yun eh. You have to be able to take these perspectives, judge them critically, and decide for yourself what you believe in. And that's, I think, one of the key things that I integrate in my Psikolohiyang Filipino subject. That ability to say, teka lang. Tama ba yung sinabi niya? Tama ba yung sinabi niya? Do I agree with this? Okay, if you just copy paste what you wrote, what you learned, or what you heard me say in the lecture in Psikolohiyang Filipino, that's not enough. You need to be able to critically think na I agree with what Sir just said. Do I agree with what Enrique said? If yes, I agree with it. Why do I agree with it? Why does it convince me? Ganon. You don't just say, yes, wow, ang galing, ang galing. No, hindi pwede yung ganon eh. Because we're trying to avoid uncritical thinking. And in fact, that aligns perfectly well with Enriquez's own philosophy that we have to revisit psychology, look at psychology critically. Ayun. Ayun.
Noted po, sir. Noted po for when I enlist for classes next term. Thank you.
Kinakabahan na si Tristan Norris.
Feel like all our listeners right now are looking into PLSU Prof to pick. Oh, joke lang.
Ha? Ha? Ha?
But more like I feel like what Sir is trying to say within terms of like how different it is when he's teaching in nga po other courses like stats, experimental psychology, is that those courses are, let's say, more rigid in terms of you can't really let's say form your own opinions on it because it's already something that's established. And with Psikolohiyang Pilipino, we still need more
Kasi parang
research.
hindi na naman magbabago yung function ng thalamus. 'Di ba? Hindi magbabago. Yun na yun eh.
Imagine, sir, someone's like, actually, sir, I think
Ala.
what? Right. Which I feel like it's completely different in Psikolohiyang Filipino. You can actually like share your own insights, share your own experiences, having that
Relate it to your own life actually. 'Di ba? Pagka when we talk about say hiya, no, you can relate it to your own life and realize, oh, naramdaman ko pala yun. More so than say psych, which is very practical, or even biopsych, which is very technical. Ayun.
Yes, very technical, very sometimes I'd say scary. And I feel like yun nga po, you always try to make it fun naman po, sir, especially yun nga, in Psikolohiyang
Of
Filipino.
course. No, yung ano eh, yung the things that we teach, it has to be both digestible and meaningful, aside from being important. If the student is unable to understand what we are teaching, they won't be able to realize its meaning. And if they cannot realize its meaning, they won't know why it's important. Pedagogy. Lumalabas yung aking PhD in educational psychology. Shock na.
I feel like na-excite na po si Tristan. Nandun na po
sir.
siya sa house. Join na po siya sa um, Sir Arcega Enthusiast.
Sana po makakuha pa ako ng stats for next term. Thank you.
Ha?
Kasama na po siya sa Kumbaya, sir.
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya. And with that, I feel like what you mentioned nga po, sir, in terms of applying it into your own life and stepping out of our ivory towers and actually going into the field, knowing people, interacting with them. In your opinion po, sir, why do you think po, that the department decided to pilot a service learning class in
Okay. Actually, the service learning component of PsyPili is a very special thing. It used to exist before already. I did shout out Dr. Robert Javier. No, in his era of teaching Psikologiyang Filipino, 2000s, 2010s, they would really go out of campus. They would go on 3-day, 2-day long extended visits to provinces and interact with the communities there, establish kapwa there, do indigenous research there. It's already existing before. My own Psikolohiyang Filipino class when I was an undergrad, we also did indigenous research with a barangay close to ELSU near Rizal Memorial Stadium. So sa likod lang, no? Sa likod lang. So it was already existing before. It's sadly disappeared for a number of reasons. If you would recall, there was a period of time when the government became very strict with field trip, no, before the pandemic, right? I think you guys would probably be grade school then. Oh God. You guys probably grade school then. Biglang naging bawal yung field trip, right? And then of course, pandemic happened. So that combination of factors sort of made Psikolohiyang Pilipino become a regular lecture course when it was never meant to be a regular lecture course. And so now, because the pandemic has sort of started to abate, we wanted as a department to bring it back. Um, and the helm of service learning was placed on my shoulders voluntarily naman. I asked for it really. I really did ask for it. And when at first it was a very difficult journey, I would admit. It was very difficult navigating all the requirements because strict pa rin sa field trips until now. Until now, strict pa rin sa field trips. So getting it approved, the entire process took last term, actually. So we've been cooking Psikolohiyang Pilipino with service learning for 2 terms already before it was even implemented in the pilot. So parang nung term 1, the idea was floated and we planned internally in the department. Term 2, the actual preparation started to happen for pilot with term 3. And now that we are very much in the middle of service learning, very much in the center of the term, no, midterm, I'm starting to see that, yes, this really is how Psikolohiyang Filipino has to be taught. Because I would admit, no, Riz and Nathaniel, you're here. You were in my first round of Psikolohiyang Filipino. It was very lecture type, very lecture heavy, very activities heavy. Um, Parang it's fun to learn, right? It was fun to learn Psikolohiyang Pilipino. But now, with the service learning, interacting with the community, it's not just something that's fun to learn anymore. There is that feeling na, oh, this is real. Totoo. Na kailangan namin makipagkapwa. The challenges that we face of finding the self in the other and finding the other in the self, it's not just lip service in academia, in our, as I said, in our ivory tower. Hindi lang ganon. Totoo na mahirap at totoong kailangan siyang gawin. Um, the community that we are listen to this podcast, they have been very supportive and very cooperative with us. But at the same time, um, there is that idea. There is that divide. Salazar talked about this as the tabulang pagkakahati, the great divide between the realities of the Filipinos and in interacting with the members of the community, not just the barangay officials. That divide, not just in socioeconomic status, but also in mental understanding of psychological reality. That divide was so apparent. Na parang as a class, it was very difficult for us to talk about and say, how do we reach out to these people? Because nandoon yung ano eh. Nandoon yung not just them relating to us, but us relating to them. No? Um, and really, we have to meet them in order to have a more fruitful interaction. Now, when designing service learning, all right, I just want to put this out. Service learning is not an immersion. Okay, it is not a field trip. Okay, the goal of this is not to go to a community and say, "Oh, kawawa naman sila." That's not the point. Tying in into our Lasallian education of being for the last, the least, and the lost. We don't want to be saviors or have messianic complexes na we're going down from our ivory tower to help the poor and the suffering. No, no. We work with them. We work with them. We tap, they tap our resources. And it is not a top-down thing where we as knowledgeable students of De La Salle University design a program that's best for them. No, actually in every step of the way the community officials are interacting with us, helping us, having a voice in creating the the session, the community interaction that will eventually happen July. So it is not yeah, the power dynamic is not there. It's not researcher participant. It is not a knowledgeable student and then beneficiary. No, we are partners in helping the people in the community and the students. And again, it all circles back to the lessons in Psikolohiyang Pilipino. Kapwa is finding the self in the other. What happens? And yun yung maganda eh. Hindi na lang siya lip service. Hindi na lang siya lip service. Literal. Na nararanasan, nararamdaman namin, at nararamdaman din ng community. Finding the self in the other. And really, there was that hesitation at first. But now, after 2 sessions with the community, we're joking with them already. Lalo na yung, I just want to give a shout out to Ate Luz, the healthcare worker of the community. Grabe na siya makipagbiruan kasama kami. No? Nandun na yung comfort. Na-establish na yung kapwa. Number 2, yung loob. Tao po tuloy. Kakatok, papapasukin. How do you bridge that gap? You acknowledge your shared humanity. Let me just share something, no? On a more anecdotal experience in the service learning, um, I was talking with someone from the community, and we do not share the same political views. And that was the challenge that was directly in my face. Na, oh, oh, I see. And I really had to stop myself because, okay, I am not here to impose myself on this person. No? The term is manghihimasok. O, dapat familiar yun sa ano. Ayaw kong manghimasok sa buhay niya. Ayaw kong i-barge yung sarili kong opinion sa kanya. So, in navigating that conversation, nangyayari yung pakikiramdam, nangyayari yung pakikisama, nare-recognize namin yung kagandahang loob ng isa't isa. That despite that difference in political views, supporting a candidate that I would not have supported, I realized in this person, there is this fundamental desire to help the community that he is in. And yun din naman yung objective ko. Meron siya nung value na yun. So, di ba, breaking down those stereotypes, breaking down these barriers of interacting unlocks a fundamental humanness. And hindi sa iniinggit ko yung mga lecture type ko na ano Psikolohiya Pilipino, but now ko na realize na okay, the potential of this course to unlock that humanness in students and to unlock the ability to establish kapwa is done through the service learning. So ayun, talagang lumaki yung meaningfulness ng Psikolohiyang Pilipino, both on a curriculum level and also on a personal level for me when it was delivered via service learning. And the department recognizes that as well. They recognize it. That's why we really pushed, really fought for it. So shout out kay Doc Jamie Pantaleon, our outgoing vice chair, that's now ano, Dean for Student Affairs. Shout out kay Dr. Darren Tumao, who is now our outgoing GPC, now incoming Associate Dean. And also, of course, kay Dr. Guada Salanga, who our chair, who has been supportive the entire way. The department knows that this is how Psikolohiya Filipino should be taught because it was how it was taught before.
With that, I heard po, sir, you mentioned July. So, what would be happening on July, sir?
Okay, okay. Um, it, on July, that will be our final interaction with the community. Um, we have been planning this psychoeducational session alongside the community for a while now. And actually, yung assignment nila kayong Independent Learning Week. Pagplanuhan ang aming upcoming na activity sa July. So wala sila, hindi sila nagpapahinga. Dapat nagtatrabaho sila kayo. Car. But yeah, July we will roll out our psychoeducational session. We identified already with the community the target issues that we want to address and the concerns that we will do logistically with that psychoeducational session. Ang dami ding problem and challenges that we had to overcome. We had to talk with the community in terms of the venue, materials, resources, may kaagaw pa kami sa venue, maingay doon sa venue, ganon. But we are hoping for a successful program on July. And again, hindi pa pwede na ano lang to, na one-off thing. Um, we plan as a department that Psikolohiyang Filipino will slowly become service learning. No, starting with a few classes, of small classes, but eventually the rollout will be that all Psikolohiyang Filipino classes in the future would have the service learning model. Yun yung aming goal as a department. So slowly and surely. But as of now, we start with one. Kasi nga, slowly and surely.
That's really something to be excited for, especially for the incoming students that will be taking Psikolohiyang Filipino. I feel like the ones that take it before, like me, are screaming right now na sana kami rin. But ikaw, Tristan, I feel like you can get to experience that.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I really am. Kasi nga, I didn't know that the pilot service is, when I heard about it during the questions, I was honestly so intrigued by it because it was the first time I really heard about something like that. And to think that it's something that is not something that a lot of students in Psikolohiyang Filipino were able to experience, feels like parang na-disservice sila. Or not really naman na-disservice, but di naman, pero like, I agree with sir na parang with all that we've talked about it, it's difficult to think of Psikolohiyang Filipino as just a lecture class, kumbaga, without interacting with the culture that we talk so much about. So, Riz, if you want to take Psikolohiyang Filipino again with me.
Umulit.
Oh, let's see. Wow, maybe. I mean, we all know that Sir Sega allows naman sit-in, so maybe. Or like observation. And with that, I feel like we're coming to the end of our podcast. So to wrap things up, Sir Sega, very big question. In terms of your thoughts and also for you, what is the most important step for Psikolohiyang Filipino moving forward? And saan nyo nakikita ang sarili nyo bilang the Sir Paul Arcega sa pag-usbong na hinaharap ng Psikolohiyang Filipino?
Well, for the subject as a whole, siguro in DLSU, it really is that widespread service learning implementation. I really think that is an important first step that we have to take in in teaching this subject because really it deserves to be put out. You know, the core concept of pakikipagkapwa is that kapwa has to happen organically. It cannot happen in the four corners of the classroom. All of the people in Psikolohiyang Filipino that made Psikolohiyang Filipino, they all agree that it should not stay in the four corners of the classroom. So that is the most immediate goal. Siguro more long term for Psikolohiyang Filipino in DLSU, perhaps creating I don't know, yung isa kong beloved mentor si Dr. Madeline Santa Maria, she would joke, semi-joke to me na dapat daw merong research group on students interested in indigenous topics. So we don't know. Maybe in the future there might be a research group, or dare I say a laboratory dedicated to indigenous psychology concepts. Perhaps in the future, ako ba yung maghe-head noon? Di ko alam. Pinapressure ako ni Doc Santa Maria pero ano, feel ko hindi, wala pa ako doon sa level na yon. Um, but yeah, maybe in the future that would be a good idea. Because yun nga, it is still a science. So while applying it to people is good, we still also have to contribute to the literature in meaningful ways. Um, Personally, for me, I do love teaching Psikolohiyang Filipino. No, I will always say that right now, at least in my current form, I'm I am not yet a big player. No, not at all. Uh, I have not yet meaningfully contributed to Psikolohiyang Filipino, especially compared to my more veteran colleagues. Um, will I in the future? Actually, I'm interested. I'm currently in educational psychology, no, and right now it's forming in my mind the intersection between indigenous Psikolohiyang Filipino and how it applies inside educational psychology in teaching and motivating students. But it's still an idea in my mind. Ano, something for my dissertation. Hala, pressure. Ah, wait lang, sandali. Pero parang nilalaro ko lang yung idea na yun. But yeah, I will be teaching this subject moving forward. It is something that I love teaching, and service learning is here to stay. I am going to be I'm going to be one of the spearheads for service learning, perhaps in the future. And who knows, maybe once SciPili is already quite established as a service learning course, I can use my experience in service learning in SciPili to sort of extend that to other psych subjects. Because I also see service learning be happening, say I don't in industrial organizational psychology, or in clinical psychology, 'di ba? Parang bagay siya dun, eh, 'di ba? Riz, na-imagine mo, 'di ba, sa IO, especially service learning sa IO, sa clinical, bagay siya dun. Pero yun, small steps, let's start with Psikolohiyang Filipino. That's where I see myself, both growing in educational psychology and investigating its indigenous psychology side, and staying with the department, teaching Psychopil and being the person for service learning. Ayun.
And I think with that, sir, it looks like the future for Psikolohiyang Filipino, specifically in DLSU, looks bright because nga, service learning, as well as how passionate the professors of for teaching Psikolohiyang Filipino are in this subject. So with that being said, thank you very much, Sir Arcega, for accepting our invitation to be a part of our podcast, as we truly learned a lot about the the field of Psikolohiyang Filipino, from its history, its essence, what it provides us psychologists, and what it provides to us scholars, as well as Filipino psychologists who are still learning here in the LSU. I'm sure that our viewers and listeners learned as much as we did. And again, this has been Tristan Donato.
Riz Carcelar, thank you again, Sir Sega, and our dear viewers and listeners. We truly hope that this had been an insightful episode, and we hope to see you guys on our next one. Once again, this has been SMS Vidcast, bringing you the latest news in the realm of psychology.